when we are discussing about economy in sociology, we are not very much interested to know about how GDP works, what is balance in trade. Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Huma Hassan, and today I am talking about work and economic life in sociology. So, this is our topic. So, we do have to know what is the relevance of discussing economic and work in sociology, right? So, let's have a quick discussion on this, right? So, in sociology, work and economic plays a crucial role, right? Why? Because it is helping us to understand society functions, right? And how are we interacting with each other. In fact, sociology emerged in 18th, 19th century due to economical changes which occurred in Western Europe, right? All the thinkers, Max Weber, Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx, have spoke about that whensoever we have got fundamental changes in economical structures, so we do have changes in our social structure. For instance, for instance, Emile Durkheim have given his work, The Division of Labor. In that, he explained that how society had shifted from traditional to urban. For that, he had used a term like mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. So, for Emile Durkheim, the modern society, which is highly driven by technologies, advancement in science and technology. So, in this modern society, we are going to have higher interdependence on each other. So, this higher interdependence is due to major differences in occupations. Now, all these different perspectives had been used by sociologists to understand economical changes. Ultimately, these economical changes is changing our political life, it changes our social life, and it is bringing major phenomenal changes in our world. Like Emile Durkheim, we do have Max Weber. So Max Weber, when he was examining society, he is also German, just like Karl Marx. Because we know that Karl Marx have heavily criticized modern society with respect to capitalism. Because for him it is bringing alienation, right? Now the answer which was given to us in having different perspective, it was initiated, I would say, by Max Weber. Now, Max Weber said that we don't have only rich and poor classes. We do also have white collar classes, right? So we do have middle classes. Now, the middle classes, when they are working in capitalist mode of production, they are also going to get equal opportunities for, for increasing and to have higher mobility, right? So they can also become richer. They can also become capitalist, right? So Max Weber is examining economical changes with multidimensional perspective. Now, we also have 20th century sociologists like Talcott Parsons. Now, Talcott Parsons is saying that society is changing because of adaptations. Now, Talcott Parsons is giving answer to Karl Marx theory, because Karl Marx was saying, and it was his interpretation, that eventually there will be a revolution and there will be a communism and socialism. But we know that this didn't happen, because Karl Marx projected that eventually capitalism would be swinging away. So it is not going to capitalism is not going to usher into prosperity and so on. But now we are living in 21st century. We can see that capitalist mode of production is not that unequal. It is not that intrinsic. It does not have that intrinsic value of inequalities. Somehow we can say that yes, Karl Marx is very true when he's talking about the equal opportunities. Equal opportunities has not been shared, right? When if in all the segments of society. However, when I am bringing Talcott Parsons perspective on economy, right? So he is saying that the way every structures, every parts of the structures is adapted, economical system also have adapted. Now, capitalism is giving immense place, for anyone who is hardworking, who is talented, to come into the lab, to strive for some major upliftment in their prestigious positions in society. Okay, so when we are discussing about economy in sociology, we are not very much interested to know about how GDP works, what is balance in trade, what is our export rate, what is our import rate. All this financial calculation is not we are directly talking about. For instance, when demonetization happened in India, so we are not going to talk about that what are its characteristics, what are its flaws, what are its features, right? Why did it happen? So all those technical economical terms, that is not we are going to discuss. However, we are going to, sociologists are going to have scientific analysis on the impacts on society. So different segments, whether it is coming from rural society or urban society or the tribal society, how they got affected by demonetization. So let me just explain that why we are, when we are understanding this economic structure, we are relating it as social structure, right? So we'll see about demonetization, for example. Now, so demonetization is our cause, right? Then different segments of society, right? So this is like effects. So we are going to see impact of demonetization on urban sector, on rural sector, on tribal sector. And then further we are going to see more deeper on this. So this is how we are concerned with formal sector, informal sector, how poverty is not just about absolute or relative poverty. It is beyond that. We do have to know social implications of it, right? So sociologists like Emile Durkheim, Max Weber emphasize the relationship between economic structures and social organization. This is a major important point which I am referring to. So when we are discussing about economy, yes, we have to be aware of. So as a student of UPSC, yes, we do have to know how economic is working, right? We whatsoever we are reading for our GS3 paper, that has to be there in our subconscious mind, that has to be there at our back. But then we are understanding on society, right? What impact it is bringing on society. So that is something which we are discussing. So the type of economic system a society adopts influences its overall structures, norms, and values, right? So we are going to discuss like this. So for instance, we know that Durkheim had given the concept of division of labor. Now when we are discussing a division of labor, so we are seeing that how work is divided among individuals and how this division shapes social solidarity. I told you in the beginning that Emile Durkheim spoke about mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. So in the traditional society, it's a sameness, it's a homogenization which brought us together. But in the modern society, it's our interdependence on different types of work is bringing us together. It's a very important theory in division of labor by Emile Durkheim. We'll sometime discuss it. Right now, it can lead to either, so this is what I was just telling you, it can lead to either mechanical solidarity, like similar tasks for everyone. So you will see that earlier we were agriculture, and organic solidarity, specialized tasks, right? So work and economics are central to the study of social class and inequality. We know about Karl Marx theory, for instance, right? So in this lecture, I'm just trying to explain you that when we are when we are discussing about economic and social life, we are talking about how system is creating and giving us opportunities to go higher in our life, like social mobility. So when we are discussing about economics, we are relating it with social mobility. So economic activities often determine an individual's social mobility, right? So education and job opportunities, which are part of the economic system, contribute to upward or downward social mobility. So this is crucial in understanding social dynamics. So I hope you understand this, that we are discussing economy to understand social dynamics, right? So with respect to education, if I'll say, right? So when we are bringing changes in our structures, right? When we are bringing education and when we are learning skills, so definitely with education, with better skills, we can earn more, right? So it is about equal opportunities also, right? Education, when we are learning, when we are doing some courses, when we are striving to become an IS officer, it is also very related to have some economical positions, to have some strong position in society. We need to have better livelihoods. So economy is very much related to our social dynamics, right? So in this way, when we are understanding about economy and social dynamics and the social relationship, we are discussing various topics. For example, equal pay for equal work, how feminization of poverty is happening, how we are not getting that equal opportunities. For instance, like, the female gender pay gap, all these issues, when we are talking about, it's a part of economy and social life. It's like, often you must have heard that female who are doing equal work in companies or in education firm, they are not being treated as equal. So it is always a stereotype, so working in people's mind, that, oh, she's a woman, she is not going to work so hard, right, and she should not get that money. And often you have seen that females don't negotiate much for salary and for other things. Now there can be alternative discussion on this. You would say, no, it is not like that, there are a lot many females, but we should talk on facts, like, how many females are even working, right? So when we are talking about India, so India is not about Delhi, it is not about Delhi metropolitan, it is about villages, like Andre Bataille have argued. So Andre Bataille have said that if you want to understand Indian civilization value system, you need to study villages, right? So M. Srinivas, for instance, have said that villages are microcosm of Indian society, and UPSC did ask question on that statement as well. So we do have to understand economy and social dynamic in a comprehensive manner. So in further lectures, I'm going to explain more related topic with respect to economy and social life. Thank you.